of the river. Last night I flew over it in a Black Hawk, and we got some visual assessments done, which is going to be very helpful going forward. I left Pier yesterday, and we were not able to get out of Pier except for by Black Hawk because the airport was shut down, all the roads were shut down. The EOC, the Emergency Operations Center, has been open for several days now and is fully staffed, coordinating with the City of Sioux Falls, coordinating with Minnehaha County. And that's really the role that we filled today. But being here and being on the ground with the mayor and with the senator was very helpful because we had the chance to talk to city workers, talk to those who helped a lot of people get through difficult situations, and really look at our infrastructure and what kind of potential damage we may have out there. So we've got roads that have been damaged, trails that have been damaged. We have some state workers and county and city workers that are able to get back to their buildings today, but individual families whose lives have been dramatically changed too. And one thing is that we need to watch these bridges and get them inspected after we see the kind of ice flow that has been happening and the pressure that they've had, is to really know what kind of costs we're looking at, is to really get that full assessment. So looking at those situations today and seeing the worst of the worst and talking to people that really struggled will be helpful in the days to come. We as a state are not anticipating that this incident will be over until early next week. And that is because we still have water flowing. We still have some coming down from the north. We're dealing with blizzard conditions in the middle of the state. So we will continue to look at damages and to assess what really has happened across the state of South Dakota for the next several days. And then once that assessment and the incident is declared ended, we have 30 days to really look at what costs were. So I'm going to ask people out there to document, take pictures, start looking at costs that they have had in damages. I know our counties and our city will as well be tallying up really what the costs may be and the damage done, so that we can partner with making a declaration to the federal government level. I did sign an emergency declaration yesterday morning, so that allows us to start that process. And even in those 30 days, if we find we've incurred costs beyond that, we can still accommodate those kinds of needs. The legislature was very proactive before they left Pier last week. They saw this storm coming, knew there would be damages, and in the Appropriations Committee and across the floor and in the general bill, they put in $500,000 in emergency general funds that will be helpful through this process. Well, that's it, but 500 extra, so that we will have specifically for this area. So it's going to be very helpful to coordinate as well going forward with, there's about $6 million we spend on an annual basis, but we plussed it up another $500,000 as well, which is going to be very helpful, anticipating that this storm in particular was coming, and that will help us with those extra costs that we have. Department of Transportation has been busy. They were out in many of the communities. We also had Highway Patrol that really stepped up and met some needs in some of our smaller communities. We did just lose a bridge down in the Canton area, so we do know that we're still seeing pressure along some of our rivers, and we'll continue to see that. But we would just ask that as we go through this process, that you continue to communicate with us. There will be potentially in some counties the ability to receive some FEMA funds that we will have to document, and the state will have a role in helping you coordinate. There's individual assistance that may or may not be available, but we'll make sure that we're checking that box as well. But just so grateful for the leadership here in Sioux Falls. Got a high populated area with a lot of public infrastructure that could impact a lot of homes, and the mayor and his team have done an amazing job coordinating that and getting through this difficult situation. As far as a statewide basis, we have a lot of snow up north, so we'll continue to watch how that melts off and comes down through Sioux Falls. We still have a lot of snow in the central part of the state. I'm headed out West River later this afternoon, and we'll spend some time in Rapid City and with those folks to really see what their impacts were. But by the time we're done, we'll have a pretty good idea where the entire state is, and the White House has reached out multiple times already to help us coordinate any efforts. They're very concerned about the impact on the region. They saw the thunderstorms, the blizzard conditions, the flooding, and recognized that this storm was very unique and that South Dakota may be reaching out for some assistance at the federal level that the White House could be helpful with. I did go down to Yankton yesterday. They have some pretty significant impacts to their community. About 70 to 80% of their roads were underwater at one time. A lot of culverts are gone, a lot of bridges that were impacted. We then also went down and did an assessment from air on the flooding down to the dunes. And the dunes, the Missouri crested last night at about midnight. It looks like their levees held. It was very close. They had one breach that I think cost us some damage to a home and a road, but I think that from what it could have been, we're very grateful that those levees were in place and that community was very proactive in sandbagging yesterday as well. So while we had a lot of damage done throughout the state, we do know that we came out in a better situation than it could have been. And I think it's really because South Dakota is pretty special. We saw neighbors helping neighbors, people stepping up, helping city workers, helping communities really pull together. So that's what makes us South Dakota and makes us a really unique and wonderful place to live. We'll turn it back over to the mayor for some questions.
All right. Thanks, Governor.
Yep, thank you.
All right, the last point I want to clarify is it sounds like 57th Street Tunnel, just getting real specific, probably in the next hour that's going to be open. We're pumping that right now. That's a big east-west thoroughfare, so should have that opened up. So with that, again, want to say a final thanks to the Senator and the Governor for being here, and we'd open it up to any questions that you'd have for any of us today. Great. Seeing none, we will take that.
Yeah.
And you guys have a blessed rest of your day. Be safe. Thank you.
Good.
God, that means we covered it all.